Who are you? And where are you going? What do you want? For the next 24 minutes, we're going to design and attain your ideal life. On the Way to Wow show. Together, we'll find the ideal path to get you back on the track to success and happiness. On the Way to Wow show with your host, Kevin Bemmel.
This week on the Way to Wow, it's going to be a special episode. Has nothing to do with Blossom, though. My daughter is going to join me and help me understand the fascination she has for online video games, which, frankly, I just don't get. And it's been a point of contention for us for quite a number of years now. We're going to see if we can lower the boiling point a little bit. But first, Christine Bocchino is going to mix up something special for me so that maybe I can take it a little bit easier on my daughter. Christine Bocchino has done pretty much everything you can do in the hospitality business. She's been a beverage director, a general manager, a sommelier, a consultant, a writer, a restaurant owner, both in the United States and in Europe. If there's something else she could have done, you're gonna have to write into the show and tell me what it is, because you've literally done it all.
Well, this today caps it off. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Well, thank you. We're really pleased to have you be our wow tender on this week's episode of the Way to Wow show. So what are you going to mix up for us?
Well, I'm going to do a variation on a sour, considered a sour because it's got the acid from the citrus. It's got a little bit of a sweetener to it. It's got an egg white. But I'm going to incorporate two spirits into it.
Okay.
It's going to be a gin and a Calvados. I'm super into Calvados these days, so I love to incorporate it where it makes sense. And this is going to have a little bit of a holiday spice note to it.
Okay.
So I've got the Barr Hill Gin, which is out of Vermont. One of my favorites right now. They're super eco-friendly, and they actually just got awarded 100 points in a national spirit competition.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's not too bad.
Okay.
So the Barr Hill Gin, I'm going to add that first. And then Calvados is really, really great. Apples, awesome for fall. And with the cinnamon and ginger that we're using, and the apple really adds something nice. Yeah.
So if people can't get actual Calvados, can they use Applejack or?
They could actually. It's going to, add a little bit something different to it, but there's definitely a lot of options out there. Apple brandies are a little bit more popular, so they're a little bit easier to find these days than they used to be, but they're slowly creeping their way up.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to do some unfiltered apple juice.
Oh, nice.
Add that into the mix. And got an ounce there. Some egg white. Now, not everyone's going to be into this. This does give it a really nice texture, mouthfeel, that like frothy, foamy layer on top. If you don't want to use that, or if you want it vegan, you can actually take the liquid from a can of garbanzo beans. We call that aquafaba in the industry, and that is actually a thickening and foaming agent as well. So, kind of a fun way to do it. It does add a little bit of an interesting smell that some people notice as they're drinking the cocktail, but it's a great, great option. So next we're going to do the citrus, which is going to be the juice of an entire lemon.
Oh, wow.
Nice and citrusy. Yeah.
I saw the oil kind of spray out when you first pressed it.
I can smell it, actually.
Yeah.
It'd make for a great cologne. Just put a little behind your ears, on your wrist, and you're good to go.
If you work in the seafood business, you're really set now.
And this is going to be a homemade honey syrup that's got a little bit of cinnamon in it. So that's where some of that fall spice comes in as well. Put that in. Just top it with ice, and we're going to give it a really hard shake to try to incorporate all of those great flavors in it. Got some ice here. And let's say probably about halfway full.
I can smell it from here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I wouldn't thought of mixing lemon with apple. It doesn't quite seem that they go together. But
Yeah, I just, having that balance of some kind of acid or citrus is super important for balance for cocktails. And, out of all the citrus and different things that, were an option, I feel like lemon was the best fit. All right, so we're going to put the cap on tightly. Give it a good shake. If you're doing it at home, you want to get it so cold that you can almost not hold on to it. And then you know you've gotten it cold enough. So roughly like 20 to 30 seconds is good. You'll see the shaker start to do its thing. Yeah. And anytime you're incorporating egg white, you want to shake it a little bit longer just to get that foaminess to it. So we've got these beautiful coupes, which are great for this cocktail
my pride
as well.
and joy.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, I can't tell which color I like better.
Yeah,
They're
come.
both
I have
gorgeous.
them in five or six different colors. I think I have a dozen of them.
Yeah, they look
so.
vintage. I'm not sure if they are. But
They're actually not, but I thought they were.
Yeah.
I mean, they're about about 30 years old now, but so maybe that is vintage, but I don't think vintage in the way we mean it.
That makes me vintage.
Yeah, well, that makes me double vintage. So.
All right. So a couple drinks here, and you'll see it'll
you can
kind of
see it frothing a
separate.
little bit.
Yeah, it kind of does it on its own. And then you can do candied ginger on the edge of it if you want. I usually will just do a cinnamon stick. I'll give you that.
All right, well, I'm going to taste this right now. Thank you.
Make it so full that you have to take a sip right away or you'll spill it. So that's...
Oh, this is just the cinnamon and everything goes together so well.
Yeah, and ideally you smell the cinnamon as you're taking a sip of it as well. Bar Hill's got a tiny touch of honey in it, and that's why I did honey syrup instead of a regular simple syrup. They're super eco-friendly. They're have a whole philosophy of helping save the bee population, which is great. So
yeah. My wife is really into that herself. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Well, my guest is my daughter, so she's not into cocktails quite yet. We're working on it, but
definitely.
But this will get me ready to confront video games.
Good. Maybe you take two.
I may make for a more interesting interview.
No, absolutely. Well,
thank you so much.
I'm so glad you
Christine.
like it. Thanks for having me.
So this week on The Way to Wow, we have a little bit different show. I want to introduce you to my daughter, Madeleine. I don't want to give too much of her biography because I might embarrass her. But I will tell you the story that I think she most likes to hear, which is when I found out that my wife was pregnant, I started praying for a daughter. And lo and behold, that prayer was answered. And so now we have Madeleine Rachel. And she's really been one of the truly great delights of my life. So, those of you who are parents and have been parents longer than me, Madeleine is 13, you probably know this better than I do. At some point, our children actually become separate people from us. And they develop likes and dislikes that we have, at least in my case, I really can't understand. And one of the bones of contention between Madeleine and me for a number of years now has been how she loves video games, especially online video games, and I frankly, I don't understand them. So we thought we would do a little segment here, and really Madeleine is going to teach me, hopefully, about what these video games are about, why she likes them, what the attraction is, and for I think for some of you out there, maybe you're having some of these same struggles as me, with everything that's been going on. I think kids have been spending a lot more time online. I know when I was a kid, my parents would tell me, get out of the house, go play on the freeway, that kind of stuff. But young people, play these games online quite a bit, and so it's an opportunity to learn a little bit more about it. So, Madeleine, why don't you tell us about the game that you've chosen to play?
Today I've chosen a game called Celeste. It's a game that is centered around story. Those are my favorite games because they actually mean something, and they're also fun. So
Okay.
yeah.
So you want to start the game and. Okay, why don't you keep going? Well, show us. Okay, so I guess you climb is the main thing there.
I'm going to read the dialogue. Should I read the dialogue?
No, the camera will catch it. But it's spelling your name wrong, interestingly enough, but that's okay.
The character in the game is named Madeleine.
Oh, okay.
This is the default name.
Okay. And it's asking questions. Why are you so nervous and this sort of thing?
Madeleine is talking to herself at the moment.
Oh, okay.
This is the game. You move around with the arrow keys. How do you jump?
There you go.
Oh.
Okay.
The music's so soothing, I'd be asleep.
So she almost got killed there? Are these blocks of ice or something?
Oh dear. I died.
Oops. I guess you don't want to do that, huh?
Keep dying. So that block in the middle just fell. If you stayed under it, you would have gotten squashed. Hold Z to climb. Where is Z? Oh, I keep pressing. I'm not used to these controls.
Okay.
See, okay.
So, what is it about this game that you find enjoyable?
I like the relaxing, well, the beginning is relaxing anyway. I like the music and the look of it, but I like the story most of all because some video games tell happy stories, others tell sad ones. This one tells a story of a girl that's battling her inner self, and I think that the prompt is original because instead of it being, I need to forget you, it's, I need to work with you to move past this.
I need to forget you. You meaning you need to forget yourself, or?
I need to forget my terrible past. That's not what this game portrays. This game portrays I need to work with my past to overcome my past instead of leaving it behind.
And so, okay, that makes a lot of sense, and I think we all need to do that. So how does this game help you learn to do that?
Well, in this game, the past is portrayed as a girl, and the character that I'm playing right now, oh dear. Oops. I have entered a cutscene. The girl that I'm playing right now, this girl, Madeleine, and the girl that I just described, her past, part of her, throughout the game they fight, and then at the end, part of her works together with Madeleine, and they climb this mountain, which is Madeleine's goal. This mountain is Celeste Mountain.
And she has to deal with her past self in order to be able to climb the mountain, is that it?
Her past self, who is in a human form, is physically preventing her from climbing the mountain through magic and just force.
Oh, okay.
So in order to climb the mountain, she has to win her over.
And so I guess people at period.
They don't make actual. I told you that this. I told you it was stupid. The noises that they make was stupid.
So they interact with different characters throughout the game?
Yes.
So now it's getting more exciting. Ooh, oops. Oh, so why did she get to hang in the air like that?
Possibly just so that you could calm down from the sudden burst of energy. It's not what's called canon. It's not correct. It didn't actually happen.
Oh, I see. Okay. So what kind of things do you feel like you learn from playing these games?
With some games, I don't exactly learn things like skills, but I do get ideas for things in a creative setting. And in games like these, I learn to better understand myself.
So, would you share something that you've learned about yourself from, playing one of these games recently? Has there been anything?
I've learned that to overcome bad things, you must work with them.
When you choose to play a video game as opposed to other things that you can spend your time on, why are you choosing a video game versus, say, reading a book or something like that?
It just seems more appealing, I suppose. It's like, instead of just watching through a window, that's how I perceive books as, you get to fully interact with the world and make your own decisions. You get to steer the path. You get to steer the story in a direction you want.
So you're writing the story rather than just reading it?
You're altering the story. There is a set story, but in some games you can get multiple endings. In this game, you can alter the story, but you can't alter the ending.
Okay. And do you feel that there are some problems or any problems with video games?
I feel like most online and multiplayer games attract a very, for lack of a better word, toxic or unhealthy fan base. A fan base is basically an audience that makes things for the game. Those fan bases usually consist of people who are very immature for their age, and because they're immature, they infect the fan base so that anybody who joins kind of gets wrapped up in this whole argument, I suppose.
So they create a kind of a negative environment?
Yes, multiplayer games and online games aren't really for children. They're for adults who can take this constant, I am right, you are wrong, and there is nothing you can do to change my mind because I am right.
So the interaction is not very pleasant, it sounds like. Do you think that your interest in video games sometimes makes it more difficult for you to get your schoolwork done or do the other things that you have to do? Does it sometimes get in the way of these other things, or?
When I was younger, I used to prioritize video games a lot to the point of it becoming an addiction. I'm still working past that, but as I grow older, I've been setting more boundaries for myself because I understand that it's important to prioritize other things. And video games are just a fun pastime that can sometimes teach you things.
So for parents out there who have a child that they think maybe is neglecting their schoolwork or something like that, what would you suggest to those parents in terms of what they can do to help their children maybe achieve better balance between things like schoolwork or family responsibilities and the time they play video games?
Well, as much as I dislike it, bribery usually works. It's not my first choice, though. If I were being completely honest, if your child hasn't gotten too wrapped up in the addictive cycle that is video games, I don't know why I did air quotes, then you should probably start limiting their screen time, but not in a traditional sense. when they get home from school, you should tell them that they can only start playing video games or going on the internet after they've completed their homework and schoolwork.
And do you think that'll work in most cases, or do you think
In my case.
it worked in your case? It did. Oh, okay.
I mean, I kind of did it for myself.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, because I didn't perceive setting those limits, frankly, worked very well, and I basically came down to hoping that at some point you would limit yourself.
If I'm being perfectly honest, it's more of a two-way street. You can't force your child to comply with these rules. So it would be best if you, I guess the word I'm looking for is let them down easy, maybe?
Or maybe negotiate a solution, or?
Negotiate a solution, or slowly adjust them to the idea I just gave you. Don't just enforce it right away, just slowly let it sink in. Make it a habit, I guess.
Okay. And the last thing is, this is kind of bringing us full circle. Are there video games that you think are better for young people, children to play, and maybe others that they shouldn't at all be playing? Or how do you look at the overall realm?
Yes, definitely. Games like storytelling games like Celeste and Hollow Knight are ideal for children because they don't have other human interaction. And if you get them educational games, depending on their age, it'll educate them on stuff, on things.
And you brought a thing for our collage, right? Mm-hmm. So what is this that you brought us?
This is an action figure from a game series called Splatoon. Splatoon, while it is a multiplayer game, you do not come in contact with anyone, and it's purely just gameplay with other people, and it's not communication with other people. So this was, Splatoon would be the one game that is the exception to the multiplayer games are bad for kids rule, I guess.
Okay. You wanna put it up there someplace? Okay, why don't you come on back here? Well, so you should know, I found this very helpful. You have a much more sophisticated understanding of video games than I thought, certainly. Maybe Mommy knows this, but I sure didn't. And I think it was good. We probably should talk like this more often, and in justice to you, I should probably just ask you some questions and then just listen to the answers, because it actually reduced my anxiety level about you playing video games a little bit. So I can see how these could be actually useful in with some of the challenges that you have. So thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You want to give me a hug? That's our show for this week. I hope you enjoyed the session with my daughter. I know I learned a tremendous amount, and I think her advice is really apt. The tendency is for us to think that because there are children, they don't have a lot to say, but indeed, at least in this case, she knew a lot more about something that I was concerned about and was able to reduce my anxiety much better than I could have done on my own or even working with my wife. Let's talk to our kids. Let's negotiate with them when we have to, but most importantly, let's just listen to them so that they have an opportunity to know that we understand them. Stay tuned next week. My guest is going to be David Kim of Apex Partners and also the co-founder of Children of Fallen Patriots Foundation. We're going to talk to him about how he got from the military to a very successful life in private equity business. Courage at all times, my friends. Marie, you are still my belle, darling.